Should the Niners be the most feared team in the NFC?
Yeah, I would say so. If you're talking about on paper. If you're talking on paper, absolutely not, man. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. Why wouldn't it be? They're the best team in football. Look at the quarterback position, right? I mean, the 49ers, like, they Jimmy G, I won't hate on him yet. But he does the bare minimum with that team. And you put up all them numbers, all them stats, it look good.
Look good. Look real
right?
good.
For Debo, right? 7 catches, 57 yards. Are those great numbers? Kittle. I'm thinking Kittle's probably their second best player on offense. They never use him, right? And then let's look at it. They beat the Chargers, who had the reserves in. Everybody was hurt. They beat the Chargers.
That's true.
They barely beat them. And then the Cardinals, who's not a good team, they're on Hard Knocks crying and how they want their players to play harder. So, no, I would not say that they're the most fair team.
But I got to ask you very quickly. At the end of the day, not only did they win, but they won those games handedly. They've won by 17 points per game their last 3 games. Jimmy Garoppolo had 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Yeah. George Kittle had a 2-touchdown game. Debo Samuel had 95 total yards. I don't know if this is a game, Shady, that you can come out and say that the Niners shouldn't be feared. After that performance in Mexico City, how are you not saying Viva la 49ers?
You know what the problem is? The problem is if you stop the run game, right, and you make Jimmy G be the guy to beat you, that's when it gets hard. That's when you get to see what type of team you really have. I mean, go against the Cardinals. I mean, everybody plays good against them, right? Everybody does that. And I don't want to hate on them, but I'm just saying, so you talk about this game you watched yesterday, which they did well, but they played the Cardinals. Do that against the Eagles. Do that against the Niners, right?
They are the Niners.
I mean, the Vikings, sorry. Yeah. Do that against some of the top teams in the NFC. Do that against the Bucks. They won't do that.
I'm glad you brought up the Cowboys, because we made really nothing of that beatdown over the second-best team in the NFC that the Cowboys delivered this weekend. And somehow this win over a terrible Cardinals team has been elevated as a better win. Right. And I didn't really get moved emotionally by what the Cowboys did against the Vikings, and that's not really because of the Cowboys. It's more because of the Vikings. That Cowboys win is way more impressive than what we watched last night. And I don't want to hate on the Niners, right? Because I really like the Niners. I think that the league is better when the Niners are competitive.
I agree.
I like watching them play. They have a lot of exciting players, a lot of talent. I mean, they look fast. Jimmy was getting it out quick. Everybody's running around, amazing play calls, very creative. Everyone's involved. It was fun last night.
Right.
But I'm not just focused on last night. We always talk about resume when we talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. Who you beat? What happened in the game?
Yeah, there you go.
What are your losses? Who'd you lose to? How much did you win by? But when it comes to the Niners, it's like, oh, no, don't worry about all that. Just worry about this last thing that we did. Don't worry about what's happened all season long. I can't elevate the Niners over a team, even like the Cowboys, and over the Vikings, who have been more consistent all season long. On paper, to Shady's point, they're, maybe one of the most talented teams in the league. Outside of quarterback. I like Jimmy G, but I think we can admit he's not one of the elites at the quarterback position. We can all at least agree on that.
And she's being nice about it.
I'm being nice. I'm being nice.
He's not the elites.
No, Jimmy wins games. I can give him credit for that. He does. But when you're talking about a team that we should be fearing, you've got to be a little more consistent. Now, they're putting wins together.
Correct.
But I am looking at the entirety of their season.
Sure.
So they have losses, too. I know you don't think this counts because Jimmy wasn't playing quarterback, but they did lose to Chicago.
That did happen.
Chicago is not a good team.
At all.
They lost to Denver. Denver is not a good team. Jimmy's responsible for that one. They've lost to Atlanta, a team that we don't think is very competitive. Staying afloat, but not competitive. And then they got smoked by the Kansas City Chiefs.
They got what?
They got smoked.
They just smoked
by the Chiefs. Now, since that beatdown, they did beat the Rams in division, who they always beat. And the Rams are also not a good team this year.
Sure.
The Chargers, as you mentioned, no one was out there, but whatever. They beat the Chargers as well. And now a terrible Arizona team. So all I'm saying is, if we're going to hold a resume against the Philadelphia Eagles, why are we not doing the same thing for the Niners?
I'll answer a couple things. First and foremost, y'all know I came up here yesterday. I thought that Cowboys win was impressive against the Vikings. We were talking about going into their house, eating their food, shoes on their kitchen counter.
Taking a football.
Taking a football, all that. But let's focus on the 49ers for a second. If we want to go back to week 1, week 2, which at this point in time, 11, 12 weeks into the season, I don't know, Joy, that makes a ton of meaningful sense, but I can. If we want to go back to week 1, week 2, I would say that the Niners win over the Seattle Seahawks is just as impressive as the Eagles win over the Minnesota Vikings, now that we know that the Minnesota Vikings aren't really all that. What, you think the Vikings are better than Seahawks? You give me a look.
Do you not?
No, I do not.
I think they are.
Yes, they absolutely are.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think the Vikings.
Their record says they are. The talent says they are. Yes.
Okay, I do not think the Vikings are better than the Seahawks, but your all's opinions, I respect those. I also would say this much. Sooner or later, you got to look at what have we done in these last 3, what have we done in these last 4 games.
Okay.
49ers, last 3 games, win. I beat you, LA Chargers, y'all come to my crib. I go to the Rams, I beat you at your crib. I beat you in Mexico City for the Cardinals. They're not good teams. But I don't know if the Commanders are a good team, and the Eagles lost to them. I don't know if the Packers are a good team, and the Cowboys lost to them. So if we want to talk about what have you done for me lately, not even just last night, what have you done for me in the last month? The 49ers are beating bad teams, which the Cowboys struggled to do, and even our Eagles struggled to do, and the 49ers are beating everybody on their schedule within the last month of football.
You know what's funny, though, right? And when we talk about the Eagles, him and Dave kept saying, oh, well, who do they play? Who do they beat? It's like, now you throw that away a little bit.
Not at all.
But this is what I will say. When I talk about fair teams, I fear the quarterbacks.
Okay.
This really is a quarterback-driven league.
Of course.
A team that has a better quarterback gets that competitive advantage.
Yes, sir.
They should win some of the games. So when you ask me, dang, should the 49ers be the most fair team in the NFC? No. Who are really fair, if Tom Brady and the boys keep rolling, how they getting rolling, getting healthy, get on the same cylinder, playing well together, I fear a team like that because the defense is already the defense. The defense, you know they play ball.
Sure.
They fast, they rolling again.
Sure.
Right? Now Tom Brady get them boys playing together. Now that's something I will fear. I can't fear Jimmy G.
In the playoff picture, though, Joy, Tom Brady is currently in the playoff picture. He speaks for himself. His resume speaks for himself.
Right.
Outside of Tom Brady, Jalen Hurts, Jimmy Garoppolo, Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, Daniel Jones. That is the playoff picture. I do not see how and or why, and there's one name I'm missing in there, but I do not see how and or why Jimmy Garoppolo, Joy, could not be in a conversation with Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, Jalen Hurts, Daniel Jones, Dak Prescott. Based upon what they've done in the playoffs, I don't know why Jimmy G can't be in that conversation. Based on what they've done in the playoffs. I mean, I'm interested. I want to be convinced. I want to be convinced.
If you're looking at playoff resume only, then Jimmy has the second best resume out of that list right now.
Sure.
To, of course, Tom Brady. But right now, you're taking Jimmy G over Jalen Hurts?
That's like cuss words if you say yes.
Well, I don't want to just pander to
Because we're putting things in a vacuum.
Come on, man.
Right?
Correct. But that's a great question. I love this conversation right now. Sorry, Dave, for not missing you. Here's why I love it. What vacuum y'all want to look in? If we want,
how about let's not look in a vacuum? Because things don't happen in a vacuum.
Agreed.
Right.
Let's open up the broader scope. I can say Jalen Hurts, to me, his best game was against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Unfortunately for you, the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had a 4-touchdown game. Played great. As you know, because you watch the game closely, I watch the game, we all watch the game closely, A.J. Brown, give me that. Give me that. Jimmy Garoppolo had a 4-touchdown, no interception game just last night. Now, if you want to take broader scope, I would look at Jimmy Garoppolo's body of work over the last 2 years, and I would say, wow, you went to an NFC Championship game.
And did what?
He lost.
What did he do? What did he do? What did Jimmy G do? Still going to playoffs, they win games. He got 80 yards passing.
But here's what
let's stop this, please.
Here's what I didn't want to do.
Look it up.
No,
look it up.
What I didn't want to do is,
you know I'm right.
I don't want to talk about what Jalen did because I want to protect the guilty as well. What Jalen do against the Bucs? That's why I didn't want to go.
I mean, they made him throw the ball. They made him play quarterback.
But I didn't want to go there. But again, Joy, you just have to tell me because I truly do want to be convinced. Outside of Tom Brady, he's on an island. What quarterback is just looking down on Jimmy G that's currently in the NFC playoff picture?
Okay, so I understand what Shady's saying, but I'm actually not looking at these teams as just the quarterback.
Okay.
I would pick Jalen over Jimmy G right now.
Yep.
Because you want to play the right now resume. I'm still taking Jalen right now over Jimmy G, but I can't argue Jimmy G's postseason record to Jalen's. But I'm not looking at it in a vacuum, and I'm not looking at just the quarterback.
Yep.
I think the Philadelphia Eagles as a team are the better team with the better resume and more consistency throughout the year.
Sure.
So it's not that I don't think the Niners should be completely written off or shouldn't give you some anxiety if you're playing them and aren't building and growing and getting momentum.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see a little more from them this season before I put them up there in the category with the Eagles. Because they do have some weird losses. Okay.
It's a good
and they
word.
and even though these 3 wins over the past 3 weeks, they were wins, they were over bad teams, which gets held against the Eagles, but is somehow not getting held against the Niners.
Let's speak to that. Let's talk about, because again, I love a 4-week sample size. I think we speak in quarters. Our year's broken up into quarters. If you talk about finances and banking, it's broken up into quarters. Everything is typically done in quarters. 4 games has always been a quarter of a season up until we extended the season. If you want to speak in quarters, Joy and Shady, let's let this be the last stop before we take it home. The Eagles 3 games ago struggled against the Houston Texans in Houston Thursday night. It was a win. Obviously, it was a win.
Let everybody know that.
No, it was a win. Tied at halftime was a win. The Eagles lost to the Commanders. The Eagles struggled but beat the Colts in what I said was the most impressive win of the Eagles season.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, the 49ers boat raced the Rams. The 49ers beat the Chargers. The 49ers boat raced the Cardinals. The Commanders are not a good team. The Texans are not a good team. The Colts, by record, are not a good team. I think they're a better than they record. So if you want to look at the last month of football.
Commanders not a good team?
I don't think so, but
they might make the playoffs. So
true.
They're real close.
But if you want to look at the last month.
The Commanders are a better team than the Chargers.
And the Rams.
Than the Rams.
And the Rams and the Cardinals. Probably the same as the Chargers. But if you want to look at the last month of football, if you're looking at the Cardinals and if you're looking at the Niners and you're looking at the Eagles, what in the last month of football, the last 3 weeks of football, leads you to so convincingly say the Eagles are better in the last 3 weeks of ball?
I just think it's about, like, how you play football. So we've been beating all these teams undefeated. We take our first loss. We had to go on the road to get another win, right? We showed you how we was down the whole, was going into the fourth quarter down 10. Found a way to win that game. You need these type of moments. You need to fight and claw back from a loss or from a lead. You know what I'm saying? And you need games where you need to close games out. We do both for that. That's why we are the best team. Not only just because of our quarterback's an MVP candidate, not even that, and not because we have the best roster in football. It's all them things together.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.